Hey everyone, it's Julian from With Bravado, and you're watching 5 Questions, the show where I ask local bands and musicians 5 questions, and then we talk about stuff. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm here with Cody Landers of One Less Reason. He's a producer, engineer. He's been in bands for several years. He's seen it all, so I've been looking forward to this interview. So first question.
Give me your worst.
Okay, alright, here. Top things you've seen bands do right. Now this is like, you've been in bands, you've engineered bands material, you've been a producer, you've seen it all. So what are some things you've seen bands really do right?
I don't think I've seen it all yet.
I've
seen a lot. Things that bands do right. You know, I feel like if I can go to a show and your energy, it's not even about what you play sometimes or the mistakes you make or whatever, or the songs even. If you can come and you can project the energy at a show and make me think that you look and sound super cool just in that moment, that's like, you're already doing something right. But you know, there's a lot of things that bands do right. It's hard to nail down just one.
Well,
you know?
As an engineer, like, you have like a little bit of a different perspective because, like, you know, you play guitar, you're in One Less Reason, but you've also been an engineer. What are some things as an engineer that you've seen bands come through in studio and do really right? Oh,
if you get pre-production, if you come with, you know, just even, hey, I tracked some acoustic guitar and sang my lyrics over this and figured out the tempo and did this and did that. If you come with even just a smidgen of that, I'm like, you know, praise the Lord, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, things like that, you know, having your instruments set up, like, you wouldn't believe how many times that I've just, you know, and like I told you, you know, before you want to start on the, you know, next rounds of guitars, it's like, send your guitar to Clay, you know, let's get it set up. Yeah. And let's just make sure that we don't have to mess with it.
When I went into studio, I did not know what that meant the first time. Like,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, like, I mean, I just bought a guitar and I was like, man, it sounds okay. And like, it was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then we go to studio the day we got there. Like, I've been sent away from studio 3 times. The first time he sent me away from studio was like, your guitars sound bad. You need to go and get them set up. I was like, set up where?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, where do you set them? I don't understand. What are these words?
Yeah, I've definitely had to do that a couple of times. You know, because guitars are screwy instruments. Like, I mean,
they may sound really good down here, but at the end of the
day, and then your intonation gets all messed up, you know, and then all of a sudden you're playing your chords up here and you're sounding beautiful, but then you want to go, you know, rip a little lead, and then all of a sudden you're, you know, 15 cents sharp, you know, and it's like,
you're not doing anything super wrong. It's just like,
yeah, it's not the player. It's just like the way the instrument's set up. Same thing with drums. You know, if you got a shell that's out of round, you know, when you go to tune that, somewhere on those lugs, it's going to be off, and then that's going to make the overtones kind of weird and just, it's hard to describe. But you can always tell and stuff like that. You know, just having your gear in shape, having yourself in shape. You know, don't come in like hungover.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm a rock star.
You know, I come in on, you know, 2 hours of sleep sometimes, and that's already hard enough to deal with. So, like, you know, just stuff like that, man. You know, if you can show up and just know what you're doing, you know, it's just being prepared is really all it is. You know, it's...
Well, like, studio's weird, because, like, studio is, like, where it all hangs out, you know? And, like, you're not in a room blasting, you know, big, you know, everyone's sitting around in a circle playing. It's like, now it's time to, like, look at it and, is this really as cool sounding as you think it's...
Yeah, and that, you know, that's where pre-production comes into play. Cause you know, and it's so easy now to just, like, buy a little 2-channel interface, hook it up, buy Reaper for $60, and then just record your tracks, have all your stuff, and then you start to notice little things like that, you know. And that's one thing that I felt like drove my progress as a guitar player, is recording myself.
Oh, okay.
It's because if there was anything I ever played that sucked, I could play it back instantly and know and be like, oh,
well, that's worth
maybe
not
I'm
doing.
not as good as I think I am in my own head.
Yeah,
you know?
Cody's very good at guitar, so, like, that's...
Well, I appreciate that, sweetheart.
When I go to studio, Cody's who has done our record, when I went into the studio and I played guitar, I'm like, this just feels stupid. It's like like swimming in a pool with an Olympic athlete. You know, it's like it's not like it's not even worth doing.
It can't be that. No.
It is like that.
No.
Anything else just that strikes you bands doing really, really right, especially like from an engineering standpoint or anything like that?
Bands that are just cool. They're people that are just easy to deal with. You know, I mean, like there's, you know.
Well, I resent that. You know, I just think you ought to just do things my way.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, honestly, you know, at the end of the day, I'm serving you, but you know, it's hard sometimes whenever you can't just, people just don't get it. You know?
Is it like a relaxed thing, like where you want people to like be able to kind of relax and just kind of sink in? Or,
yeah, exactly.
Because there's kind of a rhythm to studio.
Yeah, there really is. Because I mean, there's so many things that can go right and so many things that can go wrong. You know, and if there's something that's about to go mega wrong, like that's usually when I'm looking for my way to solve things. And you know, sometimes it's you know, like you said earlier, you know, sometimes I have to send people home and I'm like, you need to do this, this, and this, and they're mad at me for a little bit, or sometimes I have to tell people no about certain things, and it's not because I want to be a jerk. Yeah, it's just because
it's like this is objectively a bad idea.
Yeah,
you know, like for right now, this is not the right thing.
Yeah, and it's never me trying to, you know, assert my dominance. That's definitely not it. Because like, you know, that's just no way to do things. But you know, sometimes it happens. You know, and there's nothing you can do about it other than to correct it the next time. You know. Yeah,
and there is kind of a like an ego to being in a band, and so like for with Bravado and Sleeping Seasons, it's always just been like, what does the song need to do, and I know other bands who are like that, but I don't know if all bands are like that. You know, I don't know if all bands are like, I want to do things my way, and like I've given up doing things my way. I know it's not going to happen, and it's probably the best thing for that to be the case. But like, in order to sort of have that kind of availability for an outsider, you know, like the engineer essentially, like you have a new member of the band for a little while.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like that person's ear is important.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and two, there's a breakdown as far as the roles in studio goes. You know, traditionally an engineer just presses buttons. He's there to serve the producer and, you know, all the other people that are involved in the project. And now it's like the line's kind of blurred. So I kind of find myself asking people. I'm like, how much input do you want? You know, because if you want me to just take my producer hat off and sit and just press keys for you, I can do that.
Happen, yeah.
But that means that I'm not going to say a word, and I'm just going to be like, what do you guys want to do? Cool. You know, I'm not going to have any suggestions.
I'll make it happen, right?
You know, but if it's otherwise, then yeah, I'm all in. I'm like, you know, I'll say what I think. You know, and you know that. You know, it's never. I'll say what I think. It's not to make you mad.
Yeah,
you know.
Cody has radically changed at least one of our songs at different points and times, and it's been like the best idea. I just didn't have it, you know. And it's like, I was like, hey, maybe this, and you're like, hey, that's a thing. Maybe we can do something else too, you know?
Just about having other people involved, because, you know, like up at Hotkey, when I'm just sitting there with Blake editing on something, sometimes he'll come in and I'm working on something and he'll be like, that sounds like garbage, dude. And I'll be like, who are you? And then I'm like, I sit and I think about it for a second. I'm like, maybe he's right. And usually he is.
Yeah, because usually when you have that outside perspective, like, you know, they're further away from the canvas.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
When I'm like holding the guitar, looking at the screen, recording something or whatever, it's like I'm really, really close to the canvas, you know, and it's like I'm in that moment, whereas like you might be able to look at it and say, this doesn't transition to this well. Like they both sound good separately, but they don't sound good. You know, going together.
That's you know, and that's just the beauty of having anybody else to put their opinion in.
Yeah.
So.
Well, at the sake of getting waterlogged on this, your wealth of wisdom, I need to move on to number 2, top things you've seen bands do that could use improvement. You've never seen any of that, have you?
Oh, no, I definitely have.
Well, like, everyone who's played music has seen like stuff where you're like, okay, I'm learning from other people's mistakes. I can do something different.
Yeah. I'll keep this contained to local bands that I've met on the road. One, don't take 25 minutes to set your stuff up so you can play a 15-minute set. And then, you know, take equally as long breaking down.
I've been guilty of this before, because again, you don't know until until you know.
Yeah, and you don't know, and this happened to me, and this was embarrassing as all get out, but, you know, I think we were opening for, like, Veil of Mine, one of my old bands, and it was, like, our CD release party, and we were opening, and we were like, yeah, man, we're gonna sell so many CDs, it's gonna be great, and then, lo and behold, you know my luck, you know, everything doesn't work the way I expected it to, so I'm running around on stage, and then finally, you know, we just get to the point where it's like we have to play or we have to get off.
Right, yeah.
And, you know, we played 3 songs and we were really embarrassed and it was just not a great night, you know. And that, you know, too, and the... You know,
well, like, I've been on stage and heard, like, this monster come through the monitor at me, and he's like, you're gonna have to cut a song. It's like, oh... Okay, and like you're trying not to look like an idiot in front of people because they don't hear that.
Yeah,
you know.
But that brings up another point too. Is like, you know, that could have happened earlier in the night. You know, it may not have necessarily been what you guys getting on late, but because somebody else got on late or showed up late or took forever to set up, now everybody else's time is diminished, and it's like, basically, you know, I think about it like this: if you're in a band and you want to play out in front of people, you need to treat it like a job. You don't show up late to your job, and if you do too much, you're probably gonna get fired, and you're probably not gonna be invited back anymore.
Well, eventually, like closing time happens, right?
Yeah,
and you go home.
You go home, you know, but you know, and you know, you don't show attitude to people that you work for, and you know, generally, you know, you try to treat people with respect. That's at least if you want to hold down a job. Right. So it's like if you want to hold down a band, you should at least you should treat it like that. You know, I think. And
locally, you kind of get to where you feel out, you know, what it's like to play with other bands. You know, does this band, you know, like I've seen bands like trying to get off stage and people are already loading on, and it's like they can't even get off stage. You know. There's just like an etiquette to it that you kind of learn as you go, you know?
Yeah, and you know, dude, I mean, sometimes I go to shows at the High Tone, like I haven't played there in years, but I'll go and, you know, like some of the bands that I know, like people that I know well, you know, when they're loading off, I'll be like, yo, throw me a guitar cap, throw me a head or something, you know, I'll carry it out for you. You know, it's things like that you can do for other bands that help with that kind of stuff, but you know, just don't be selfish. It's it's that simple.
And I've seen like drums is a big deal.
Yeah.
So like I've seen bands disassemble on stage the drum. You know, after you know, where it's like and it really hadn't occurred to me until like being in a band for a little while. But then like you take the whole thing.
Just they're on stands, guys. Like pick the stands up, take them off, break all that stuff down. Like same thing with your pedal boards, all that stuff. Take all your cables, wrap them up over here, and that's that's just stuff that I've noticed. You know, whenever I was playing, you know, in a more, I guess, local-ish type band, and we weren't traveling around and stuff.
So Cody's really important.
No, I'm not. People think I am, and it's flattering, but
Cody's played shows I can only dream of, but like it's he does tour.
But you know, it's a different, like, you know, all the festivals that we played, we watched, you know, like In Flames load off their semi truck and the trailer, and they've got a whole system. It's not just like, you know, oh, we're going to pull our stuff out of our trailer and we're going to stack it over here and blah, blah, blah. Everything's labeled. Everything goes to a certain place. Everything gets hooked up in a certain order. Everybody has a job. And it's just like when you see that and you see how smoothly taking an entire semi-truck of gear off and onto a stage in less than like, geez, you know, they probably had everything up in like 15 minutes and we're starting to tech. And I was like, they just pulled a whole...
Yeah. Question number 3. What does your songwriting process look like? I honestly do not know what you're about to say because like I have no clue how you write songs.
Well, it kind of started off like, you know, whenever I started messing around with recording gear, that was how I was writing songs. Because like I lived in Missouri, you know, at the time when I started playing music, and I had a couple of friends that played, but we just didn't mesh together totally. I had one good buddy that, you know, we had eventually ended up playing a lot together, but so I just recorded songs. I was just like, this is fun. I have a little mixer and I've got guitar and drums because I was trying to play drums, guitar, and bass, and I was into everything. And so I bought a little mixer and whatever, and recording songs like that was really fun.
Essentially, you were just like tracking stuff yourself and just seeing how it sounded or whatever?
Yeah, and that's how I was like writing my songs. But that just, honestly, I don't think I've ever really done it any differently than that way. I mean,
it's
you
like
know...
If you have an idea, you just
If I have an idea, I have to put it down somewhere.
Okay.
Because if I don't, it's gone. Even if it's just, a memo in my phone.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, our last guest Jeremiah was talking about like having a phone full of memos and stuff like that, and it's like like every musician has like nothing but memos and stuff. And
and I even went and bought like a little iOS mic that just like attaches right here. It's a little mic that you can just sit down somewhere and play acoustic guitar in front of, which that's cool. But I feel like 9 times out of 10, I'm just sitting in front of my computer, with a guitar in my hand, programming drums and whatever.
Okay, so you're technical.
I guess, man. I hope that probably wasn't nearly as interesting as you thought it was going to be.
That was boring. Moving on. All right. No, just kidding. What are qualities you look for in a bandmate? Question number 4. This is a really important one because these are kind of like family members you're agreeing to have. And this depends on what kind of band you're trying to be. This depends on like what kind of music you're playing. I could play in a hard rock band. Hard rock. But I could not play in a metal band. Yeah. Because I'm just not. I don't have the chops for that.
Fair enough.
Or I could not play in a metal band. So like you wouldn't want. Even though Julian's a nice dude, he's not the right person for that band. But like.
We'll just let him play with laser toys and his guitar. We don't need any metal from him.
Every math metal band needs a tambourinist.
Yeah, there we go.
Right.
Yeah.
A lead triangle player.
Yeah,
but,
I like it.
So what do you look for? Like what should a band look for?
I realized the kind of people that I could be in a band with, the first little tour run we went on, we were out for like, I think about a month, and that's, I'd never been as far as like Tupelo playing a show, so traveling the country for a month was like, whoa, and waking up next to the same 6 sweaty dudes, and and whether we were in the bus or the van, it was just like, you have to learn to love those people, like, regardless of what your differences are, like
it's like you acknowledge their like
you acknowledge their why do you say this, eccentricities or whatever, and they learn to acknowledge yours, or you hate each other.
Cody knows big words too, so.
Well, I'm trying to take from you. What was that one?
Verisimilitude.
Verisimilitude of something. What was that going to be? The
Ubiquity of Verisimilitude.
Yeah. That was going to be the record name.
Yeah. Today we're sponsored in part by the dictionary. Yeah, but so like you've got these people for a month. You're waking up in a moving vehicle with.
Yeah.
Like part of
and keep in mind, you're not showering.
Right. Yeah.
You're eating greasy pizza and drinking Red Bulls and
who. And so by like the end of day 13, you know who like your smell doesn't work well with.
Oh,
and so like like where you can be in the band.
There's I can think of 2 people in particular that were on that bus that I'm not gonna name any names. Some of you might know, but it's just learning to deal with people. I think and. It's not that you just learn to put up with people. It's like you just learn to figure out what you can put up with, I guess. And sometimes it doesn't work out, and sometimes it's fine.
Well, like, and let's say for instance you do cross that line where you're like, I can't put up with this. Like, what's your next move? If it's your band,
you got to go find your happy spot and just stay there everybody's way. No, I mean, but above being talented, above having gear, above having money.
Having your own gear is important.
Oh yeah, it's very important. I mean,
hey, I want to be in your band, but I don't have a guitar.
Really to be the perfect band member, you need to have all that stuff. But if you're at least a decent person and I don't hate you, like we're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
We'll figure out the gear, we'll figure out the riffs, we'll figure out looking cool on stage. But just as long as when it comes to blows, I'm not gonna have to strangle you, or you're not gonna have to strangle me. We're gonna be cool.
And that's something I did want to bring up with you, because you are a technically proficient guitar player. You can sit down and play stuff that I couldn't dream of. Like, how technical do you need a member to be? In terms of like proficiency, because like the style of music we play has always just kind of been like, you don't have to be a phenomenon. You just have to be able to play, and like. If we all love each other, then that's great, But, like, you don't have to just be like a phenomenon or a Berkeley grad or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's the same way, same way, and one less reason it's radio rock. For the most part, you're 3 or 4 chords, and if you can play 3 or 4 chords, make it sound heavy and look cool, then you're perfect, you know. But, you know, it's at least for, you know, playing the rhythm parts and all that.
Well, and let's say, for instance, I'm going to start a metal band.
That's a different story.
It's going to be called the Family Jewels.
I like it.
Yeah.
Can we... Anybody down to start this? Well, we need a...
My Patreon link will be underneath.
Yes.
Just kidding. But, like, okay, so I'm starting a metal band. You're almost able to play what I need you to play. Where is the gap there? Like, how do you close the gap by just, like, rehearsing that person? Because I really like you. I really think that you and I would work well together in this band. I feel like I could put up with you for weeks on end. But you can't quite play the parts, but it's close. Do you still have that person and, like, just train them?
Yeah, I feel like that's the way it starts anyway. Because no one just comes in and learns all your stuff immediately.
Yeah.
You know, there's always something to work out. Mm-hmm. But I mean, as far as like finding other people, at least this more so applies whenever I was really playing metal. You know, like I've got an 8-string. Listen to how heavy and low I tune. You know. Yeah. But because that was a little bit more difficult to play. So, right. But luckily, like, you know, I guess the last reiteration of that band, everybody could play, so I wasn't really worried about it. I was more so just
writing songs and
just writing stuff and whatever. I think there's always a degree of that, you know, unless you're just, I don't know, some kind of prodigy.
Yeah, which I definitely am. Yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely. That's. I mean, you know, that's it.
What could be hidden underneath all that beautiful hair?
Yeah, exactly.
A prodigy.
Right. Yeah. Maybe he's born with it. Right.
Maybe it's me.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. No. Question number 5. Any advice for up-and-coming musicians? I'm a new musician. Maybe I've never been in a band before. Maybe the band is young. It's our first year of being a band or whatever. You've been in enough bands. We've both seen bands for years. What are things you could give as advice? I know, like, you don't want to like stick your nose into other people's business, but at the same time, there are like core things that could be better. And if somebody had sat me down and like said, "Hey, Julian, you're doing this wrong," I would have had much easier growing pains.
I don't think there's, as far as the actions and the executables that you may do, is, you know, with your music, I don't think it comes down to doing things right or wrong. I think it comes down to your attitude and what you're willing to persevere through and put up with, and you may do the complete opposite of what I would ever want to do concerning anything with music or entertainment or whatever, but you could be a huge success.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's not dependent on anything, I guess, particular that you do or that I do. It's just something that happens. People figure it out, and if you could sell records or whatever, then you're good, I guess. But I guess I would say just, you know, be confident. You know, have some sort of goal, some sort of drive, and just don't think that you're the stuff, because there's tons of other people out here that do this too.
There are lots of really good bands.
There are lots of really good guitar players. There are lots of really good engineers. You know, like, don't ever think that you're on top of the world.
Yeah, you've got room to grow.
The next kid will come and knock you off your pedestal. You know, it's happened to everybody, I'm sure.
Yeah.
At this point,
that happens to me regularly.
Yeah, and then too, you know, to me, it's not an ego game. Like, you know, I'm sure everybody gets jealous sometimes. You know, like when cool things happen to certain people, but at the same time, it's like, you know, be happy for those people and just be happy for what you've been able to do.
Well, especially at a local level, my opinion has always been that if other bands do well, it cultivates a culture where, like, Memphis is synonymous with success.
Yeah.
You know, and like, I don't mind other bands doing really well, because I want people to think, oh, Memphis, that's where cool music comes from.
Yeah. And, you know, it's never... I see it a lot as far as just, you know, people around town. Like, I'll hear, you know, just people, I guess, talking down to other people. And I've done it too. I'm not going to act like I'm some saint. But, you know, I've just started to realize more and more over the years that it really does nothing constructive for you.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's as cheesy as it sounds, that whole, you know, if you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say it. Or at least just, you know, go to sleep at night and mutter it into your pillow. If that makes you feel any better, that's cool. But, like, you know, like when people start, you know, throwing other people down and whatnot, you know, unless I just have a fundamental problem with them, I'm usually just like, cool,
that's your 2 cents.
Later,
And, like,
I'm just like, I don't really care what you have to say.
Because like I've really tried to distance myself from like speaking poorly of other bands, even if I don't like the band. Because like music is one of those things where like you can love this band and I can hate this band and we're both right.
Yeah.
You know, so like, you know, and I've been wrong so many times before where I was like, that band's not going to make it. And then that band gets much, much bigger.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, I'm just wrong. And it's like, sometimes like, the stuff isn't in the here and now. And so, like, it can get bigger. Or, like, you know, sometimes I have to check sort of my judgment card, I guess, and just say, like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
You know, because if a band's really terrible, it's not going to work. I don't have to tell people it's not going to work for it not to work.
Well, I mean, you know, actually
maybe
this was I wasn't there, so I don't know. But you know, you remember Devin Harris? You know, he used to play for What We Do in Secret.
Yeah.
Love you, buddy, for watching this. I don't know if you'll see it or not.
Yeah,
but
I do.
Deuces Hope Las Vegas is awesome. But he was talking about the Killers one day because you know they're from Las Vegas, and he was like, "Yeah, we were playing a battle of the bands, and they sucked." And I was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah." And then a year later, they put out Hot Fuzz, and I'm like, "They sucked that bad?" And he was like, "Oh, dude, it was terrible. It was awful." And I was like, "Really?"
Well, like there's like I guess room for improvement and stuff.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
sometimes
you
like
never
production.
know. You know, you know, maybe it's production, or maybe one day they just sat down and they're like, "Hey guys, we kind of suck. Let's dedicate the rest of this year to make sure that we're awesome come this time next year." I think that comes down to the common thread, you know, about if you ever, I guess, want to make your living doing this, it's like being honest with yourself and just realizing what you suck at, what you're good at, what you can improve on and do, how you can, you know, handle yourself with other people better, how you can stay on top of all the stuff that you got to get done. I'm kind of bad about that right now. I'm just switching back from, you know, not having a day job. Yeah, it's kind of hard, but you know, just figuring stuff out like that, and then it's like at some point it'll all come together, or
some stuff
maybe it won't. Maybe you just had a lot of fun.
But I do think it's interesting. Like some of it seems like it has to be luck, a little bit of it, and some of it's, you know, funding or money or whatever, and some of it seems like, I don't know. I've always wanted to sort of be that band that was like doing something cool, maybe the right time, right place kind of thing. Because I'm not the band with money, you know, or I'm not the band where like my personality type doesn't attract 400 people to a show. Like I'm a quiet introvert, so like, and Tom's an introvert, Kayla's an introvert, so it's like, CJ, go out and make friends, you know. We're turning him loose. Turn on your your extrovert.
Yeah, there you go.
But well, I appreciate you coming by.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. The way that we get rid of you, actually, it's very painful.
Oh.
So we're gonna clap, and you will disappear. I don't know where you're gonna go.
That's a risk I'm willing to take. So.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah. How do we do this?
3, 2, 1, and a clap.
Okay.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Huh. I wonder where he went. At least it's good on gas mileage, right? Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, do the like, share, and subscribe thing. It would really help me out, and it's going to help out the bands and musicians that we have on the show. Their information's in the description. I look forward to making another episode as soon as possible, but in the meantime, support your local music community, and I'll see you next time.